really exciting. In this room, in this very room, David used to be a preacher boy. And that was a long time ago. And in Building D, where we're meeting now, David gave his life to the Lord for whatever the Lord wanted. He had already known Jesus as his Savior. But that day, he went forward with a missionary and committed his life to the Lord for wherever the Lord would want him. And he wanted David in seminary. But David came to me when, he didn't come to me, we were standing in the hall. And he said, I want to go to seminary, but I don't know if the Lord wants me to. And I said, well, if he's put it in your heart, he wants you to go. So he did. And there was Jerrine. She was there waiting for him. And during that time, we had pulpit supply because our pastor had died and gone to be with the Lord. And there were some pastor or teachers from Dallas Seminary. And of course I had to tell them my son Boyd was there. And I said, yeah, my son is there. Well, who's your son? David Berkey. Don't know him. He's going to marry Jerrine Hilliard. Oh! I don't know why somebody hasn't snatched her up already. And I said, David wasn't quite ready. So they met in seminary, and the Lord called them both to a mission field, preferably with Latin speakers. And so they've been on the field 32 years. In August, they'll be 33. They spent 1 year in Costa Rica in language school and had the first baby there. And then in Caracas, they had 2 more little girls who are all married now, and they want to go back. They're not done yet. So. I'll pray when you're done. Okay. Oh, and Paula said Ben Joseph is here, and we're glad to see you guys here. We don't usually have men at this time of the day, but we're so glad you're here. And welcome everybody.
Well, thank you. We're really happy to be here with you folks, and happy to, in a sense, say goodbye, because we'll be leaving on Saturday to go back to Venezuela, and it's good to see a variety of people here. I know we have a lot of Canadians have been coming, and that's great, eh? We're so happy. Our countries we're all different. From different backgrounds, even different countries. And that's the way we are in Venezuela too. You'll see from some of our pictures, not everybody's the same color, not everybody's, the same height and the weight. We're all varieties of people. And sometimes we have sort of stereotypes. But I think what you see will maybe break down some of that. But there's one thing that's true of everybody, absolutely everybody, is that all of us are absolutely lost without Jesus. We're all sinners, and we're lost without Jesus. It doesn't matter who we are, and so that's why we are doing what we're doing. Planting churches in Venezuela, because there are a lot of folks, rich and poor, just from all across the spectrum, that all need Jesus. And so that's what we're doing. And we know you all are doing that here in this church, reaching out to everybody, because the gospel's for everyone. So we'll share with you a little bit about who we are. I'll let Jerrine start, tell a little bit about us and our family.
And while we're talking, if you think of a question, keep it in your mind, because at the end we will have a time where you can ask it if we don't answer it along the way. So just kind of have that in the back of your mind. Okay, as you can see, we are David and Jerrine Berkey, and we have been with World Venture since 1990, in Venezuela almost 33 years. And our main ministry is starting new churches and developing them to the point where they can be independent and thrive and impact their community. And we are nearing the end of our service as missionaries. So we are excited to go back because we want to finish up. And it's a lot easier to finish up when you're there. So we're very thankful. We work and live in Caracas, Venezuela. This is our family. Our daughters all served with us and were born, 2 of them in Venezuela, 1 in Costa Rica. But now they all live in Arizona, and like Mom said, they're all married. We have 2 grandchildren, Miriam and Wally. So, of course, we've loved some bonus time, and that's what I keep calling it. This is bonus time that we've had to be together. And so we're very thankful for that. And we just officially brought Logan into our family. We've claimed him for a while, but he and Caroline were married on March 15th. So another fun family celebration to be able to be a part of. Okay, well, we've been in Venezuela since 1992. Adriana, our oldest, was 6 months old when we arrived. And Venezuela is on the northern part of South America right here. It's a Spanish-speaking country, and our ministry is in Spanish. This is Caracas, where we live, the capital of Venezuela, a very big, modern city of about 5 million people, and that's the Avila Mountain to the north of it. This is our neighborhood, taken from the window of one of the apartments in our building, a little higher up from ours. We have always lived in a high-rise apartment. The majority of the people do live in a high-rise apartment. There are some homes, and there also are what we call barrios, kind of up the hillsides of the more lower class housing. We have spent a lot of time recently, before we left Venezuela last year, at the immigration office, because keeping our paperwork legal has been a lot of work, and it's something that's very important. So we were just trying to renew our resident visas. They're good for 5 years. We've had them for a long time. And it took forever, probably a couple of years total. But thankfully, we both got those visas in our passports shortly before we returned at the end of May last year. Had we not, and the Lord knew this, we would have had to get a special permission to travel, and they expire after 90 days. And we would not have been able to go back in if we had overstayed. So thank the Lord for bringing those visas just in time, and hopefully we'll be seeing a little less of this office. We're not quite done. We still have our ID cards. You probably have heard of Venezuela more in the news in recent years. For a while, it was just a little country that we didn't hear much about. It's not always been very good news. They've struggled a lot, economically, politically. They have had mass migration, I guess you would call it, people leaving, looking for a better life somewhere else. Venezuela is not a very big country, probably about 30 million people, and 8 million people have left. And that is a huge chunk. We have said so many goodbyes, all of us. And our Venezuelan friends have their families scattered all over the world. So their children and grandchildren are living in Spain and Canada and the United States and Panama and Peru and Argentina, and you know, they're very separated and isolated from one another. And so when we're there and we're away from our kids and our grandkids, we're in great company because they are experiencing the same thing. And so What we like to focus on, though, is not all the bad news or the sad news, but really the things that the Lord is still doing in Venezuela that we can really be thankful for and that we're so happy to be a small part of.
So in that context of a big city, we have been doing church planting. And in the 90s, we helped plant one church with the help of some other missionaries and other nationals. And since then, we've been trying to get another church going. And the church that we are planting right now is called El Puente, which means the bridge. And that's what our little logo means there, because Jesus is the bridge that connects us with God the Father. He's how we get from here to there, to the presence of God. And so that's what our church is called. And we think it's a really cool church. We think it's the best kept secret in the Caribbean. It's our church. And when people come, they say, hey, this is a really nice church. So this is where we meet. We were wandering for a long time, probably over 15 years. We were wandering from place to place, from schools. We rented some other places, but we didn't have our own place. And so we decided that we would, a long time ago, we decided we would start saving money, and we were able to buy this spot in a shopping center. And it's great for us because they have 24/7 security. They have ample parking, even though you have to pay for parking. It's ample parking, it's secure, it's visible. A lot of people walk by where our church is every day. We're right in front of a bus stop and a taxi stop, and so it's centrally. You can get there easily. So that's where we meet. And it's on the corner of the second floor. And so when we got it, we remodeled it, we gutted the whole thing. An architect in our church designed a plan, and so we remodeled it, and it's all functional now. And so, and this is our associate pastor, Pastor Eslid Rivero. The Bible somewhere, you just have to pay attention. And this is his wife, Wiljor, and he was pastoring another church before, and we were friends, but so many people from his church left that his church really couldn't support him anymore. And so he was thinking about leaving the country, and I said, don't leave the country, stay and work with us. And so in 2020, they came and started working with us, and our hope is that as we get old, which hasn't happened yet, but when we do leave the church, he'll be able to take over. He's in his late 40s, and so they have 2 kids, and they just had another baby. His wife is just turned 40, I guess, this last year, and so they had another baby, and we were very sad that we were not there in December when the baby was born. But we're going to see her hopefully next week. So you can just pray for him. He is now doing most of the preaching. He and I shared preaching for a while. And then I asked him to start doing the majority of the preaching so that people would be used to him. Because eventually what we'd like to do, hopefully this year, is I will officially not be the lead pastor. He'll be the lead pastor. And then he'll be the Dread Pirate Roberts. I don't know if you've seen...
Princess Bride.
Watch Princess Bride. It's a funny movie. Anyway, we'll continue, but maybe I'll be Pastor Emeritus or something to sort of allow us to start fading out a little bit. And then eventually phase out of the church. We have children's classes. This is a new members class that we do probably twice a year. That's like a workshop. And then we have our midweek Bible studies on Thursdays that are a lot of fun. And discipleship workshops. We have a 7-level discipleship workshop that's actually, the materials are from a ministry here in Phoenix called SALT. And it's 7 areas of life training. And so we were using that, and we found out we were making disciples with it. And then we found out that you can invite anybody to these things because they're just biblical principles. And people get amazed that the Bible talks about all these 7 areas of our lives. And most of it is how we relate to ourselves, to God, to others. And anyway, we got our ladies group here. And then our men, who are harder to get together. Men are hard to, I don't know, we're tough, aren't we? Yeah, but when we get together, we eat really well. And then we had a couples group. We're trying to sort of stimulate these things and trying to get other people involved in these ministries to minister to one another. Should you want to talk? Or?
Sure.
Yeah.
One thing we started a year or so ago, more than a year, were English classes, more as an outreach to our community, just to maybe bring in some people that weren't coming to other activities. And I teach the beginners, and this is my class. And as you can see, we have some young people in our class, which our church would love to attract more young people. Many of them are the people who have left the country, but it doesn't mean there aren't any left, because there are. But David teaches the advanced students, and then we have a gentleman in our church who speaks really good English and actually does teach English at an institute. So he teaches the intermediate students. So I'm hoping that we can start that back again once we get back, and just use that to reach out to the people around us. Before our service, we have, this is actually ice cream after church, but we have a coffee time before our service out in the hallway, and that helps encourage people to come on time, because Latin Americans have a little bit of a reputation for being late. So anyway, if you bring them in with some coffee, then that helps. And then you want to keep talking about that?
Sure. So we've been doing baptisms, and it's been a sort of a constant. Every year we have people that want to get baptized, and we actually imported a portable baptismal, so we can, and it's called a dry pastor baptismal. So the pastor doesn't have to get wet, which is not more convenient. But we set that up when it's baptism time, and then we can take it away, because the place isn't real huge. Our whole space is only 43 feet by 43 feet. So this is basically kind of the size of our church. And so it's limited. We got a music team. For those of you who know me, I graduated majored in music at Arizona State. And so I've kept up, and I've learned a bunch of different instruments. And I really try to get especially youth involved in music. The ladies are easy to get involved, yes. But getting the men and getting the kids involved. So we've done that, and our drummer right there is now 14, I think. And now the pastor's son is also learning drums. And if you want to reach youth, you have to have a good drummer. I'm sorry. And I am old, but I learned. So we got that covered. And anyway, that's our team. We got one of the dads is also involved. He plays Latin percussion. And so anyway, we've got a really good worship team there. And I'll be investing in that again. And that's really our church ministry. And then we have sort of our personal lives, and something we do on our own to be a good example to people in our church is we have a Bible group in our apartment, and we invite our neighbors. And these are three folks that it's kind of a funny story, because the two people on the left there, Luigi and Gladys, we know them. He's like a gourmet cook kind of guy. He used to have his own restaurant, and she is a journalist. And because she's a journalist, she gets invited to events, and so she got all these tickets to go to this what do you call it? A play or a drama, a stage production about Gomez, who was one of the dictators of Venezuela, and it was this new thing. And they had enough tickets to invite us, so they invited us. So they went with their son and us, and they said, well, let's all go in one car. So we all crammed into our SUV, and we went and saw it. We had a lot of fun with them, and I had been mentioning to them for years, the only difference between us and Catholic folks is that we just read the Bible, and that's it. And if you want to understand us, just read the Bible. That's what we do. And so I invited them to come and read the Bible, but they never took me up on it. But we were coming home after that event, and Gladys was sitting in the back, and she said, well, so what are you guys doing at your church? And I said, well, I'm preaching through the book of Ephesians. And she said, oh, wasn't he like a prophet? And so we started laughing, and she says, oh yeah, I'm such a nut. She said, I guess it is pretty obvious I don't read the Bible. And so she said, okay, it's time. Let's get together and read the Bible. And so the next Friday we got together, and in our apartment, and they came over and we started reading through the book of John. And we've met almost every Friday since then. It's been a couple years. And they're reading the Bible, and they're so surprised that they can actually understand it. Because they were told, well, no, it's only the priest that understands the Bible. And you can't you can't interpret the Bible, because you're just a commoner, And they can understand it. And so it's really exciting. We've gone through John, then we went through a little bit of Luke, and then Acts and Romans. And when we get back, we're going to start with Ephesians. And so, you can pray for those folks. The man in the middle there is Luis. Very educated man. He knows way more than I do. But he doesn't know the Lord yet. So you can pray for those three folks as we meet together with them. We also, with them, we kind of have started a tradition of doing Thanksgiving with them. They said, you guys do Thanksgiving? What is that? How's the food? And, the whole thing. And so we had them over for Thanksgiving dinner because they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. And so we invited our pastor and his family, that they live near us, and we had Thanksgiving dinner. So now, they even this year on Thanksgiving, they called us, and they got together and had Thanksgiving without us. And they said, we're trying to cook the food right. So that's a nice thing. And this is us at our pastor's apartment with his family and his in-laws. This is a typical Christmas meal that you have on Christmas Eve. And so they have hallacas, ensalada de gallina, which is chicken salad, and typical bread that they make with ham. Anyway, we love Venezuelan food. We can't wait to get back. And but this is we also have just our friends. And this is Alba and Fernando. And we met Alba in 1987 when we visited Venezuela that's right. 88. And because we were basically newlyweds. We got married in 87, and in 88 we went down there, and Alba, we met her when she was young and we were younger. And so we've known her for a long time, and she's in our church helping us get our church going. This is another couple, Moises and Glenda, and one of their boys, Salomon. And we just really love this couple. They live near our church. They came after we got our new place, and it was looking like their marriage wasn't going to work. And they were pretty troubled. But the Lord got a hold of them, and we just tried to help them as best we could. And the Lord's given them their marriage back. And so their boys are doing fine, and they're helping with music and different things in church. And they've become really good friends. And we have a challenge, and if you've been reading our prayer letters, in fact, you want to show them one of our...
Oh, yeah. This is the latest one, and we do have a few copies back on the piano if you would like to take one.
And prayer cards.
Oh yeah, and prayer cards.
But we've been saving money for the last few years since we bought. We thought, let's just keep saving money and get some more space. So we have a space next door, which is an optical place, an eyeglasses store. And we have been talking with the owners of that space to see if they'd be willing to sell. And we've been just raising money little by little. And we're now to the point where we think we could make a decent offer. Not necessarily one they would take, but we're going to start. We're going to see if we can start negotiating. And hopefully they'll take a low offer. There's also another space across the hallway that's actually slightly bigger, and it's just one big space. And we could use that as a multi-purpose room, something for youth and for get-togethers. So anyway, we're kind of, we know that as we grow, we're going to need room for our youth to be youth. We have a really nice space, but we're always afraid they're going to mess it up, because it's really nice. It's a place where we meet on Sundays. And so it'd be nice to have more of a multi-purpose place and a little more visible too. We really like this space across the way because it has glass all the way in front, so people can see what's going on inside. Because a lot of people are suspicious of you weird evangelicals, some kind of cult, you know? So it's best to be as transparent as possible. So you can pray for that. That's going to be one of the things that we'll be doing when we get back, is hopefully move that negotiation forward. Okay, we're getting close to the question time, so if you guys don't lose your questions here. You can pray for us. Pray for Pastor Rivero and his wife, and pray for evangelistic growth, that we'd actually reach people that have never heard about Jesus. We have gotten a few people that come from other churches, especially in COVID. So a lot of churches shut down in COVID, and since ours was open, we got people from other churches. But we know that a lot of people that don't know Christ. So, and also for our safe return and our transition back to Crocus. We've been away for a while, so it'll take us a while to kind of get our feet back on ground there. And then pray for funds and successful negotiation to purchase additional space, because that's long term. That's going to make a big impact.